What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the first show of December. It is December 2nd. The year is almost over. We've already got people tuned in right now. Tommy Cananzo, thank you so much for tuning into the show. A great weekend, jam-packed, full of sports and all of the fun stuff that we all love and know whenever it comes down to like the way that we want to spend our weekends. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday as well. Your boy was having himself a good old time. Too much turkey, too much ham, too much of almost everything except for the pumpkin pie. I will never get enough pumpkin pie. I basically ate a whole damn cheesecake by myself over the weekend. I'm a monster. I get it. People on Instagram keep calling me fat, and I'm like, yeah. Don't know how it's an insult. I embrace it. I am the Lizzo of fat men. Anyway, it's Cyber Monday, so later on today, I'm going to have an interview with the toy guy Chris Byrne. You might have seen him on Netflix's The Toys That Built America. He also hosts his own podcast. He's a co-host of the podcast. It's called The Playground, and it's perfect for this Cyber Monday, and of course going forward as well, because a lot of these deals aren't just today; they're throughout the rest of the week, but. We'll be talking to Chris Byrne a little bit later. I'll be putting that out on my social media channels. I wasn't able to get it done in time to have it for today's show on Roku, where we are live on Roku right now via the National Streaming Sports app. Shout out to National Streaming Sports for being a great partner with everything that we're doing over here with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. And of course, because it's not Black Friday, but because it's Cyber Monday, we have some amazing deals going on right now with our friends over at Happy Nuts. Look. Everything is either 25, 30, or 40% off. The Comfort Cream, 30% off. The Comfort Powder, 30% off. The Comfort Powder Spray is 30% off. Then you got body washes, anti-chafe scrubbers, the anti-chafe stick, and of course the refresher. All of that 25% off. Then you got the Bulber Pro, and the Lumberjack. Obviously, if you don't understand what those are grooming tools for your areas. Men, you got to take care of those things. Endo discussion. We all got to take care of that stuff. 30% off, 40% off, 25% off. If you go to myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton, check out the great deals that they have over there at myhappynuts.com and see all they have to offer. The deals end tomorrow. So you get up to 30 or 40% off of any of the bundles that they have over at myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, this weekend was a fun weekend. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're probably on the fence of what you wanted to happen. They've done what we wanted them to not do, which is give us hope. I had to get into a conversation with somebody over the last couple of days because apparently whenever I say the Dallas Cowboys could potentially win 4 in a row, dating back to beating Washington, I am some sort of idiot that's never seen sports, apparently, according to people on Threads and X and all over the place, right? Everyone says the speed bump in this plan of the Dallas Cowboys winning 4 in a row would be this upcoming game on Monday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals are not a good team. Flatly, they just are not. We saw the way that Pittsburgh just ran through them. Like, it wasn't even a game that was worth watching, in my opinion. Like, it was fun. Obviously, I got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, so I thought that they'd be on my fantasy teams. So I thought that they'd be a little better than what they are now. But man, like the more that I sit back and I watch the Bengals, their defense is terrible. Their offense is okay, but if you get pressure on the quarterback, which is one thing a healthy Dallas Cowboys defensive line can do, if you can get pressure on the quarterback, then you're going to have yourself an easy time dealing with the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's going to be the issue for them going forward for the remainder of the year. Look, they had an opportunity. We saw it last year. There were teams last year that started off 4-7 and made it to the playoffs. And you hear all these people talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and how them being 4-7 isn't like your typical 4-7 team. But at this point in the season, your record is who you are. They are a good team on paper. On the field, though, They just don't seem to have it. And I love Joe Burrow. I don't think there are very many quarterbacks out there that are as good as Joe Burrow. And for me, it's so frustrating to watch this Bengals team because they just can't seem to get it done. A lot of dumb mistakes on their own. They shoot themselves in the foot a ton of times. It's similar to what we saw yesterday with the Baltimore Ravens. Self-inflicted wounds. We kept hearing that with the Ravens in Philadelphia. Tony Romo talking about it. Self-inflicted wounds that this team is doing. Those are not ways that you win games. Those are not ways that you win in the playoffs. It's so hard to overcome that at the NFL level. Augustine Pimentel saying Burrow is the best quarterback in the league by far, but that O-line is terrible. It's hard to debate that, right? Like the offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals is basically wrapping paper that you get to run right through, and then there's your gift, Joe Burrow, at the end of the line. The Cincinnati Bengals defense is atrocious. Pittsburgh was exploiting them. Russell Wilson, a 9,000-year-old Russell Wilson, threw for over 400 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals defense because they are that damn bad. And Najee Harris was still just running right through him. Hell, I think Harris Ward and Kadero Patterson were all just running right through him. They can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. They can't protect their quarterback. All this falls into the hands of the Dallas Cowboys. Are probably going to crap the bed on Monday night whenever they play against the Cincinnati Bengals. Augustine Pimentel going on saying Romo talking about self-inflicted wounds is funny. Yeah, it is. And yes, Augustine was asking that many yards. I want to give a shout out to Brandy Nunez, who I see is tuned in right now as well. Good morning, Brandy. Thank you for tuning in to the show. But the Cincinnati Bengals, again, like they're just a bad team. They're just bad overall. I want to give a shout out to Byron Dalrymple, who's tuned into the show as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Cincinnati Bengals are just bad. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it whenever you look at this team. Tommy Carranza saying the Dallas Cowboys are not winning out. That's probably what it will take to make the playoffs. Even if they do, they're not beating anyone. Give me a top 10 pick. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not saying the Dallas Cowboys are winning out. They're not beating Philadelphia. Like just not going to beat Philadelphia. But they did what I didn't want them to do, which is they gave me hope. They gave me some sort of maybe this team can do something, right? Augustine Pimentel saying, Brandy, wow, sounds like a cool name. This guy. I'm going to have to stop reading comments, especially if you're going to be going back to that nonsense. Jesus, guy. Okay, so, and it's with an I. Like you just spell it right. Jesus Christ. But the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think are going to win out. I just said they were going to do what I didn't want them to do, which is give me hope. They beat Washington, which I didn't think they would be able to do. It was a 10.5-point spread. For me to take Washington to cover the 10.5-point spread was a lot for me as a Cowboys fan because I didn't think that the Dallas Cowboys had what it takes to be able to do that stuff. Now I look at this team and I see them beat the Giants, and it wasn't a pretty game against the Giants, but again, it's a Thursday game. You're coming off of games, blah, 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 whatever it may be. They did what I didn't want them to do, which is give me hope. I think they can beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that they can beat the Carolina Panthers, and Carolina's getting a lot better. Right, like Carolina is becoming a fun team to watch. It looks like Bryce Young just had to get his footing, and it seems like he might be going on that way. That early benching in the year might have been something that benefited Bryce Young to say, look, I've got to get myself into this game if I want to continue playing this game at a high level. Augustine Pimentel saying, what top 10 pick wants to go to Dallas? Tommy Canazzo saying that pick, that top 10, that draft pick keeps getting worse with every win. And then even worse is giving you hope, Mike, is that they're giving Jerry a reason to keep Mike McCarthy. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that aspect of it. Byron Dalrymple says, any top pick wants a paycheck for not doing your best. I always have a debate with that mindset, right? Like, yes, there are some players out there that are just in it simply to get a paycheck. But there's also a lot of players that are out there like the Sam Darnolds, like the Baker Mayfields, that have been high draft picks, but you can also tell don't want to be considered a bust or anything of that nature. And they work their ass off to make sure that they get better, right? That's what we're seeing out of Bryce Young. People got to remember this. It's only his second year, right? Going to the Carolina Panthers, which are a bad team, like flatly, they are bad. Name someone outside of Chuba Hubbard on that team. Someone's going to say Adam Thielen. Maybe they'll say Adam Thielen. Maybe I'm breaking news to you that Adam Thielen is a Carolina Panther. That's who they have. That is the weaponry that they have. Augustine Pimentel going on to say, whoa, I don't know what the heck happened there. But Augustine Pimentel going on to say, if Mike McCarthy still is the coach of Dallas Brokeback Mountains, I'm going to really laugh. You got to come up with a better joke than that. Like, Jesus Christ, man. I'm all about, like, banter. I'm all about, that type of nonsense. But just be witty with it, right? Like, the people that still go to him, the Dallas Cowgirls. Nah. My guy, you're a New England Patriots fan. Be happy. You hate more in the Dallas Cowboys than you like your New England Patriots. At least the Patriots have been good. All you're doing is talking about the Dallas Cowboys all the time. It's no one online would know that you are a Patriots fan because of how much you talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I think you, my friend, are a broke-back, closeted Dallas Cowboys fan. See, look at that. That was witty. You, not so much. Like, come on now, guy, if you want it to go that way. But Tommy Canazzo going on and saying, okay, Mike McCarthy could still be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to go that way. Jerry always does that. Jerry's always the guy that's like, oh, yeah, no. Like, you guys we're never going to get rid of a coach. We're never going to do this, blah, 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 right? So for me, it's like, I believe they can make the playoffs. I think most people's expectations this year for the Dallas Cowboys was to make the playoffs. But the expectation for the Dallas Cowboys should never just be make the playoffs. It should be win playoff games, maybe make a conference championship game. And I know that I'm the type of person that doesn't put stock in NFC championship games or Super Bowl appearances or any of that other nonsense. If you don't win it all, you didn't win it all. Like, there are no moral victories in football, because if your team makes it to an NFC championship game, you can have your quarterback say, we're garbage, just like Aaron Rodgers did 2 years in a row, right? If you don't win it all, you didn't win a damn thing, at least not in my mind. And that's just the way that I always think about it. And I'm also the same mindset of I'd rather go 0-17 than lose in the Super Bowl. So to me, if Mike McCarthy doesn't win a Super Bowl, I don't see a reason for the Dallas Cowboys to keep Mike McCarthy. And you see the way that this team started this season. And yeah, you can say there were injuries or, we're trying to find our footing. We're X, Y, Z, whatever. Every single team deals with injuries, deals with incoming players, and has to deal with the salary cap. The biggest difference is the Dallas Cowboys are the only team that seems to have a consistent issue with dealing with the salary cap, with dealing with their talent, with dealing with everything that team is. There's always those rumors and stuff that are out there. To me, if Jerry Jones wanted to keep Mike McCarthy, he would sign him to an extension right now. He's a lame duck coach. This is the last year on his contract. If Mike McCarthy wanted to keep Jerry, or if Jerry wanted to keep Mike McCarthy, he would have signed him by now. I firmly believe that. But there's no way you can look at the way this season started for the Dallas Cowboys, no matter what they do to try to salvage it. If they wind up going 9-8, or if they wind up going 8-9, or best case scenario, and I said this at the beginning of the year, if the Dallas Cowboys can go 10-7 and they make it to the playoffs, they're getting bounced in the first round. Because the issue with the Dallas Cowboys is the defensive line and being able to stop the run. If you could run the ball halfway decent against the Dallas Cowboys, you are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Looking back at some of the comments that we have right here, Augustine Pimentel saying the Dallas Cowboys are the team to bash on, LOL, and my Patriots have a good future. I don't know about all that. I like Drake May, but I don't know about the Patriots having a good future. Byron Dalrymple saying that he agrees about making the playoffs, that they have gone 29 years with Jerry and 25 years with Tom Landry between, I guess, long periods of time and all that good stuff. Tommy Cananza saying Jerry Jones is a wild card. He's an idiot. I'm not putting anything past him. Watch them go 10-7. Mike will be back for sure. I would hate to see that happen. I understand why the Dallas Cowboys didn't sign Sean Payton whenever he became available, right? There was going to be a lot of issues. You'd have to give up a draft pick. You already had a coach. What was Sean Payton going to do? He was kind of on the downside of what he had done in New Orleans. Mike McCarthy, if they go and make it to 10-7, I don't think that's good enough to save his job, because the expectations over the last couple of years have been, yeah, you win 12 games. That 1 year you win 12 games, your second year with Dallas, let's go to the playoffs and make some noise. The next year they go to the playoffs, make no noise. They still won 12 games, but they made no noise. The next year, fourth year with Mike McCarthy now. Again, 12 wins, make no noise in the playoffs. And the way that they lost in the playoffs was just so embarrassing. The way that they lost all these home games coming up until, Thanksgiving. It took them all the way until week 12 to win their first home game of the season. They were the last team in all of professional sports to win a home game in 2024. That is such an embarrassment for the Dallas Cowboys, for the brand of the Dallas Cowboys, that you cannot look at the way they started the season, no matter how they salvage it, and justify why they would want to keep Mike McCarthy. Again, Jerry Jones is a showman. I will agree with that. I think Jerry Jones is going to do whatever Jerry Jones is going to do to make sure that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be the topic du jour, right? They are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Last week, they were my power bottom team of the NFL, because a lot of the other teams have a bright future. The Dallas Cowboys don't seem to have that. Jerry Jones wants them in the news, and therefore the Dallas Cowboys are always constantly in the news cycle. That's why you got people like Augustine who say they're the easy team to bash on. They're the team that everyone wants to bash on. Hell, Stephen A. Smith, a guy that I love, respect, and know, made an entire career, the second chapter of his career, on simply doing the easiest thing you can do in sports, which is, let me say that this one team will not win. And it just so happens to be the most famous team in sports, right? What that is saying is you are taking the odds of 32 other teams to win, or 31 other teams to win, over that one. Is that a brave stance to take? God, no, that's not a brave stance to take. But you know what it is? It's a moneymaker, because the second you say the Dallas Cowboys, people are going to tune in. I didn't even want to start today's show about the Dallas Cowboys, but it's always going to go that way, because that is the topic, especially here in Texas, right? That is the topic that people need to or want to talk about. I've been in those meetings. I've seen the metrics of how the second you mention the Dallas Cowboys on certain stations, you get an uptick. It's simply that. They're the Dallas Cowboys. People love to either hate them or they love to love them. Or you're like me and you hate that you love them. That is the only options that you have with the Dallas Cowboys. Trust me, it's mind-blowing to me how a team can be mediocre at best for 30 years and still be the number one trending topic when it comes to sports media in places like Chicago, and places like New York, and in places like Bristol, Connecticut. Again, I've seen it with my own eyes. That's why I try not to go so Dallas Cowboys heavy. But if it's a football season, it's a Monday, I'm going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, because I know maybe I get a little bump in some stuff. Maybe I share something out there. Hell, I shared a video on Instagram talking about how I hate that I love the Dallas Cowboys. I used Brick Tamlin from Anchorman and somehow, some way became known as a Dallas Cowboys hater, a soft Dallas Cowboys fan, a word that starts with a P that can be used to describe cats, Cowboys fan, and, as Augustine would say, a closeted Dallas Cowboys fan. I have never once hid my allegiances to the Dallas Cowboys. but people just see something about the Dallas Cowboys and boom, that's simple. Hell, I've even been called a bandwagon Dallas Cowboys fan. I was 11 years old the last time they won a championship. I'm 40. Think about that. My oldest son is older than I am or was whenever the Dallas Cowboys last won a Super Bowl. He's 12. I have white in my beard. I skipped all that. I'm bald. All my youth has gone in the time that it took the Dallas Cowboys to win their last Super Bowl till now. And somehow, some way, I have been considered the Dallas Cowboys fan or a bandwagon Dallas Cowboys fan. It is insane to me. Tommy Canassa saying, don't get me wrong, I don't want Mike back, but I wouldn't put it past Jerry. I guess, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Jerry Jones is the wild card here. Jerry Jones is always going to be the wild card when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Going back over to the comment section over here as well. Augustine Pimentel saying, question, is the Dallas Cowboys just too big as a sales marketing badge for people in the way that who cares who is the coach? As far as printing money goes, yeah, no one cares. No one cares. No one cares what your record is. And obviously that's the elephant in the room with the Dallas Cowboys, right? Is they have had, again, they are the definition of mediocre since 1996. I think they are just now maybe a couple games over 500, but you remember that graphic from 1996 until I think it was like 2022, the Dallas Cowboys were exactly whatever and whatever, right? XYZ and XYZ in their record. It was a perfect 500 record for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that they might have just gone over that, but depending on how this year's goes, they might revert back to being the perfect 500 team for 29 years. And somehow, some way, they have managed to become, despite all that mediocrity, they have managed to become the most valuable franchise in sports. Not American sports, not just football, in sports. If Jerry Jones were to sell the Dallas Cowboys today, it would not be out of the realm to think that he would be able to sell that team for anywhere between 10 to possibly $15 billion because it is simply the star on the side of the helmet that people want. You either want to love it or you either want to hate it. There is no middle ground with the Dallas Cowboys, even with the Patriots, and as well as they were over this last 20-year period. There was some still that middle ground of, man, they're good, right? I don't hate them. I don't love them. They're good. You got to give the devil their respect. The same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs now. There's not the whole, too far ends of, I really hate this team and I really love this team. You got people like me in the middle that are like, damn, they're a really good team. How do you stop them? You see them struggle and you sit there and say to yourself, they're 10-1. How are they 10-1? Out of all the teams, how are they 10-1? There is no middle ground with the Dallas Cowboys. There is no, they're okay. I have been approached by people in all of my travels, right, where if I'm wearing anything Dallas Cowboys related, if I've got a hat, a shirt, whatever, I will have people come up to me and say, I don't watch football, but I hate the Dallas Cowboys, and I will cheer for any team that is playing against the Dallas Cowboys. That is mind-blowing to me. You have no stake in the game. You have no allegiance to anything except hating the Dallas Cowboys. You don't hear that with the Patriots. You don't hear that with the Chiefs. It's the brand of the Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, Augustine, I will tell you, maybe it is too big. The fans care, right? But the diehard fans that buy a ticket are not going to change their habit, right? I had someone in one of my comments, because again, it was the whole, the Dallas Cowboys are the team that I hate that I love, right? I had someone say, I used to be a Jets fan, and now I'm back to being a Jets fan. But I took a break for about 20 years before I became a Jets fan again. Realistically, I don't think I would know a single fan that would do that, right? Like it would have to take a catastrophic event for people to say, I'm not going to support that team anymore. We saw it with Cleveland Browns fans whenever the Cleveland Browns signed Deshaun Watson, right? That's a hard one to try to get over. But if you're the Dallas Cowboys and they're sometimes good and they're sometimes bad, and you got to look around the landscape of the league, and if you're a realist like me, I realize that everything is numbers, right? Like I'm all about statistics. I'm a super nerd when it comes to this stuff. There are 32 teams in the league. So in utopia, every team will win the Super Bowl once every 32 years. That is the best case utopic scenario, that every team will win one Super Bowl every 32 years. That is, again, best case utopia scenario. There's no way in hell that I would look at the Dallas Cowboys despite some sort of catastrophic event, right? Jerry Jones was naked on the 50-yard line, just going to town on himself. That might be the one, right? And maybe even then I'll just be like, he's a crazy old man. I mean, old guys are going to do what old guys do, right? Like that would be the way that maybe, just maybe, I would be the type of fan that'd be like, oh, I'll take a step back. But I love football, man. I love being able to watch. I love the emotions. You don't get those emotions out of anything that's not sports. That's what I love about sports, is that it brings out emotion. It creates a community, right? The Dallas Cowboys just happen to be the team around the water cooler that everyone either hates or loves. That's simple. Tommy Cananza saying the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls in 25 years and they couldn't touch the Dallas Cowboys in ratings. Think about that. This Thanksgiving game, we all knew that this Thanksgiving game was going to be the worst Thanksgiving game on the plate. This year, instead of the Cowboys being mashed potatoes with gravy and a bunch of other stuff, this year the Dallas Cowboys were your aunt's fruitcake. They were the item nobody wanted to touch, and somehow, some way, managed to get 38.5 million people watching them against another team that is an absolute S show in the New York Giants. Drew Lock was the quarterback. It wasn't even Tommy Cutlets. It was Drew Lock as the quarterback. Somehow, some way, Cooper Rush versus Drew Lock was able to get 38 million viewers. No, it was the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys that got you your 38 million viewers on that game that we all knew was a horrible game on Thanksgiving. Going back over to Facebook, it seems like there's just a comment going on over here a comment war going on between Byron Dalrymple and Augustine Pimentel. I see Medusa Designs is tuned in. Once again, a 30-minute first segment. Jesus Christ, I've got to get a cap on some of this stuff. Maybe, just maybe, I just do 30-minute breaks, right? Maybe that's what I do, just 30 minutes at a time. That's how we'll do the show from now on. I got to find a way to work into these commercial breaks for some of the stuff that we've got going on over here. Madhu Munoz saying, good morning, broski. Blessings over to you. Byron Dalrymple saying, great points to Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Cowboys draw audiences, the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? Like, the Dallas Cowboys are always going to draw. Until the day that the Dallas Cowboys don't draw, which is going to be never, they are going to be the team that everyone wants to talk about, that everyone starts shows with, that everyone basically devolves into. Again, love Stephen A. Smith, a person that I have met, that I've actually worked with. Love the man. But he carved out an entire career by doing the easiest thing in the world. I will take 31 teams to win over one team. The easiest thing to do in the world. But he's the most famous Dallas Cowboy hater that is out there. Want to give some shout-outs over to Medusa Designs as well. She's saying good morning. Good morning to you, Medusa. Hope that you are having a great day. I'm going to hit the commercial break right now. We're going to get through this commercial real quick. Whenever we come back, we will continue our conversation on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. I'm Mike Tipton with a message for the ladies. Ladies, the man in your life doesn't know how to tell you this, but his nuts are not happy. Don't worry, you can make them happy by giving him happy nuts this holiday season. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and look for the perfect package that fits your man's package. From our Jingle Bells Your Balls Smell gift box that contains a Happy Nuts Comfort Cream and Anti-Chafe Comfort Stick, two of our best sellers, and a special gift your man would love to hang from the tree. To our fresh and clean bundle, our special soaps, and even our patented nut scrubber, MyHappyNuts.com has everything you need to take your man's nuts from being sad to happy this holiday season. Visit MyHappyNuts.com/Mike Tipton today and save up to 40% on the perfect package for your man's package. Welcome back into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Ask and you shall receive, Tommy. That's all I'm going to say. Ask and you shall receive. It is Cyber Monday. That means that we have some amazing deals over at www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Today and tomorrow, the Comfort Cream, the Comfort Powder, the Comfort Powder Spray are all 30% off. Then the Nut and Body Wash, the Nut and Body Scrubber, which is an amazing product, I might add, and the Anti-Chafe Stick, 25% off. Then as far as your male grooming goes, we have the Bulber Pro, and the Lumberjack. I'm getting my package delivered today. Hey, yo. I'm getting my package delivered today, but the Bulber Pro, and the Lumberjack are all 40% off. Great stocking stuffer. I cannot stress this enough. Guys, take care of yourselves. Ladies, you got a man out there that's just letting it grow. It's becoming a jungle. Trust me, I know all about it. I'm the hairiest MF in the world. If you got a man out there that's doing all that nonsense, make sure he takes care of himself. You subtly give him these gifts and say, my guy, imagine how great you would feel if you didn't have all that chafe down there in that area. Trust me, great product. www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Check out the products. You can save up to 40% on some of those products today. Augustine Pimentel, this must be the first time that he has seen the Happy Nuts commercial, because he seems to be beside himself right now. He's saying, I'm in the office and I busted my nuts laughing at this. Don't bust your nuts. Keep your nuts happy with Happy Nuts. One of these days, the good people over at National Streaming Sports, where we are streaming live on Roku, are going to watch this show and be mortified at who they allowed to speak into a microphone. But again, you gotta know who I am by this point, right? So someone said the other day on either X or Instagram, I get them kind of mixed up from time to time, that I wear the cowboy hat for aesthetics. And I was like, yeah, I wear it whenever I become the meat slanger. Slanging that meat, baby. Right? Like, it was a character that I created. You are right, 100%. Thank you for not understanding the joke and letting me explain it one more time. I love whenever people do that nonsense to us. Augustine Pimentel saying the people at Roku will bust a nut whenever they find out who it is that they've allowed to jump on. But I will do this. I will give some love over to National Streaming Sports. Again, a great platform. Download Roku. Download the National Streaming Sports app. Check out all that they have to offer. Somehow, some way, the biggest mistake they ever did was give me a show or allow me to have a platform this early in the morning. It is too early in the morning for me and my nonsense. I genuinely feel that way. But hey, I see the show's growing. I see the community keeps on growing with us as well. Adrian Zamudio has tuned into the show saying good morning to us. Good morning to you as well. Adrian Zamudio, we got Augustine on the other Facebook channel. We got Medusa Designs on the other Facebook channel. We're getting some momentum, y'all. If you can, please like the show, share the show. Let's try to grow this community. You want me to keep talking about the Dallas Cowboys? I can keep talking about the Dallas Cowboys, but I want to talk about something that I saw come up in the comment section, and that is from Byron Dalrymple. Byron Dalrymple over in South Carolina said, what about that Raiders and Chiefs game finish? Augustine Pimentel saying, better than iHeart. I concur. You knew exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly what you were doing. You knew where I was going to go with this. One of these days, Augustine, one of these days I will use my platform to just simply talk about my experience here with a local iHeart affiliate. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. Definitely not right now, though. I did want to talk about, though, that Kansas City and Las Vegas Raiders game, the way that finished. It seems to me, I say this all the time on the show, the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then. The Kansas City Chiefs have to just have their ass pointing in whatever direction the sun is going, because my God, the Kansas City Chiefs have found just incredible ways to win games. The first game we should have known. The first game of the season, Isaiah Likely's toe, this much of his toe, out of bounds. Chiefs win. How different of a season are we talking about with the Baltimore Ravens if they just get that type of momentum going forward? Block a field goal to beat Denver. Last second field goal on their own to beat the lowly Carolina Panthers. And then somehow, some way, the Las Vegas Raiders, a doormat of the NFL, on Black Friday, what should be their day, right? Black Friday at the Black Hole. Cue the old school NFL Films music, right? It's Black Friday at the Black Hole. What will the Kansas City Chiefs do to survive against the Las Vegas Raiders? Woo. The dumbest way I have ever seen a team lose a game, and I've seen teams lose some pretty damn dumb ways. I'm a UTEP supporter and a Texas Tech fan. I have seen them invent ways to lose. I keep going back to Oakland. They will forever be the Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, for whatever reason, they had a timeout. I cannot for the life of me understand how this team messes up that bad. But it just it talks to what it is to play against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Where you have to be mentally to play against the Kansas City Chiefs. And to me, the Las Vegas Raiders didn't have it, right? Like if you were playing against the champ, going back to Ric Flair, to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man, right? The Kansas City Chiefs are the man. Everyone is giving them their best. They're just going out there swinging with haymakers left and right. And the Las Vegas Raiders had them up again. There was going to be a choice word that came out there that I cannot say on Roku. The Las Vegas Raiders had the Kansas City Chiefs up against the ropes, just knocking them with body shots, getting them ready to go. And some reason decided to do the old school showboat, do this, like hit me with your best shot. Snap the ball to Aiden O'Connell while he's not looking, while he's doing this. The ball hits him in the chest. Great snap, by the way. The ball hits him in the chest, bounces off to the side, and somehow, some way, the Chiefs are the team that lands on that. That's the way the game ends. Without a shadow of a doubt, the dumbest way to lose a game. Tommy Canassa saying, I didn't watch the game. Was there some type of flag controversy at the end? No. The Raiders moved the ball down the field, got into field goal range. We're only down by 2, 19-17. All they needed to do was spike the ball and kick a field goal. Hell, they didn't even have to spike a ball. They had a timeout. Instead of doing any of those options, Aiden O'Connell getting everyone ready. He's in shotgun, which is a weird place to be if you want to spike the ball, is in shotgun, directing traffic, looks over to his right. The ball is snapped, hits him in the chest. Ball bounces down onto the ground. The Kansas City Chiefs recover. Ball game. 11 seconds left in the game. That's how it ends. Again, the Raiders with what has to be, in a time where we've seen just terrible clock management, has to be the dumbest way to lose, because again, you have the champs up against the ropes. All you have to do, hell, you could have just Why'd the guy hike the ball? Right? Like, you can just let it run. Get under center, tap the happy side, get the ball, spike, right? That's all you had to do. Instead, they just invent a new way to lose. I've seen weird things in sports, especially football, right? We all talk about the oblong ball. It bounces weird ways. The football gods must hate the Las Vegas Raiders to have them lose that way. Augustine Pimentel saying, no. The dumbest way was Caleb Williams. That one takes the cake. That wasn't even Caleb Williams. Oh, my God. This week, you know what I was thankful for? I was thankful for bad football. That just skipped my mind. Wow, right? The fact that the Chicago Bears have an opportunity, just even have an opportunity against Detroit to maybe do something. Have, again, time on their side. And Matt Eberflus just doesn't get it. Winds up being fight like it's just, oh man. The Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders are the gift that keeps on giving. If you like watching bad football, which I love, right? I love watching two bad teams go head to head because it normally creates a fun game, unless it's the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants, in which case I was surprised I stayed up to that whole game. I had just, filled my gullet with a bunch of turkey, and somehow, some way, the tryptophan didn't kick in, and I was forced and subjected to watching that whole game. But just watching teams invent ways to lose is what I was so thankful for. I mean, even college football, right? Looking at New Mexico State and UTEP here locally. New Mexico State with a 17-point lead winds up blowing that in the third quarter. UTEP does what UTEP does. They get their third win of the season. Those of you that are on the national platform, I will talk about the University of Texas El Paso every now and again. I love using them as my example of what bad truly is. They have played football at the University of Texas at El Paso since 1914. And in those 110 years of football, they average 3.3 wins a season. UTEP beats New Mexico State, gets their third win of the season, baby. It's what they do. It's what they do. They haven't won a bowl game since 1967. To put that into perspective, that is 17 years before I was born. Their last bowl win could feasibly be my parent. And holy hell, this just made it into my mind. My adopted mother, or my biological mother, had me 2 days after she turned 17. UTEP's bowl game losing streak is as old as my biological mother. And I'm a 40-year-old man. Man, it's UTEP and the Cubs. Oh, man. Whenever the Cubs won that World Series in 2016, I was the only person in a bar here in El Paso just loud as hell, obnoxiously cheering for the Cleveland Guardians, Indians at that time, because I just wanted to see the Cubs keep that losing streak going. If you're going to lose historic. And that's what UTEP, the University of Texas at El Paso, does. They keep losing historic. Caleb or Augustine Pimentel saying, what's dumber, Caleb Williams or Dak Prescott when the time ran out on him? It's Dak. For me, it will always be Dak. It will always be Dak. You do not slide with that little bit of time left and no timeouts in a playoff game at home against your rival. And to me, yes, San Francisco, and I love the way that they lost yesterday. I was just injecting hate into my veins watching the way that the that the San Francisco 49ers were just getting blowed up against the Buffalo Bills. Tommy, I wanna ask you this, because I've been saying it over the last couple of weeks. I think I started this show by saying I think Philadelphia is going to be the only team in the NFC that can give a real legitimate challenge to the Detroit Lions. I was hit with San Francisco. I was hit with Minnesota. I was hit with, all the other somewhat decent teams in the NFC. We've got a month now. Wow. We've got a month of shows under our belt here with national streaming sports at this 8 o'clock hour. A whole month of shows that are done now. And the San Francisco 49ers have done nothing but get worse. I loved it, right? I'm seeing all these messages out there, in the social media sphere from 49ers fans talking about, oh, the Dallas Cowboys fans are coming out and hating on us. Yeah, it's what you guys do. Well, what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander there, softy? Is that what it is? Right? Nonetheless, again, letting my biases show here. But I loved watching just a thorough dismantling of the San Francisco 49ers because it showed everyone on a national platform just how far they are. Yes, Christian McCaffrey is injured. Yes, every team has injuries. How do you overcome these injuries? The San Francisco 49ers, that window, I'm calling it right now, shut. It's done. The San Francisco 49ers will not win a Super Bowl. Hell, I don't even think they'll make it to another Super Bowl within the next couple of years because they've got to pay Brock Purdy now. All that cheap action you were getting, you have to pay on now. You have to start paying players. It's done for the San Francisco 49ers. Hell, it might be done for the Dallas Cowboys, but it's been a longer time for the 49ers to win a Super Bowl, hasn't it? And don't hit me again. You've already heard me say this. Don't hit me with, oh, they made it to the Super Bowl. All you are is a first loser. Plain and simple. Maybe I don't need to have that mindset. Maybe I don't need the Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last mindset. But that's what sports is to me, especially at that aspect. Because if you are a good team, you're going to have talent picked from you. It's that simple. You're going to lose coaches. You're going to lose players. You're going to have just the vultures of the NFL come down and pick at the corpse of the team that lost in the Super Bowl. The 49ers, that window, I'm calling it right damn now. Done. It is done. That window has closed. That window might be sealed shut like it was in a hotel that people keep jumping out the window on. That window, done. San Francisco, sorry, but not sorry at all. Augustine Pimentel over here talking about UTEP, all the stuff that's going on over there. Also saying good. All right, people, he's out. He's got a meeting in 10 minutes. Thank you, Augustine, for being a part of today's show. Always love the discourse, my guy. Just come up with better insults for the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I ask. Be creative with your insults. Sometimes I'm a little too creative. I scare myself sometimes with the things I think. Byron Dalrymple going on to say Philly and Detroit in the NFC. The Ravens had 4 missed field goals this weekend by Mr. Consistency. That, I think, is going to be the biggest story that comes out of this weekend, right? What do the Ravens do with their kicking game? It's so hard to say goodbye to a legend, especially mid-season. But Justin Tucker just doesn't have it anymore. And it's always sad whenever you see the guy that was great just not have it anymore. And we have to take into consideration that the longevity of people like Adam Vinatieri, like Tom Brady, even Aaron Rodgers, even though he's been pretty bad over the last 4 years, I would say, the longevity of these types of players, Drew Brees, is something that's so hard to match. Justin Tucker doesn't have an injury, or if he does, he's hiding it very well. But it's hard to watch whenever you see these guys just can't do it anymore, right? And it was just such bad timing, I thought, because you have him miss a field goal. I think it was a third field goal that he missed. And the first commercial after that is the was it the Mayhem commercials? I think that's Allstate. Is the Allstate commercial that comes out and he's like, I'm the yips. And I was like, oh no, what if Justin Tucker has the yips? Now, for those who don't know what the yips are, that's when you're something that you do all the time. You just forget how to do it. It looks like we're watching that with Justin Tucker because these field goals aren't missing by a wide margin. They're just not going where he's used to them going. and he's missed 10 field goals on the season. And that's going to be something that comes back and bites them in the ass, right? If he makes 3 of those field goals that he missed yesterday, the Baltimore Ravens feasibly beat the Philadelphia Eagles. We're having a completely different conversation here, right? The Eagles didn't look very dominating. The Baltimore offense was able to move the ball down the field and get into field goal range. Now you're going to have the issue that the Dallas Cowboys had a couple of years back with Brett Maher, right? Do you trust your field goal kicker to be able to kick field goals in the big spots? And that, to me, is going to be the Achilles heel of the Baltimore Ravens. They're more than likely going to make the playoffs. They're more than likely going to be a team that all of us are going to say they can give the Chiefs a run for their money. But damn, it's getting really hard to trust that team, especially on the kicking side. It's getting really hard to look at the Baltimore Ravens and say to yourself, I trust them. And that's the hardest thing to do in sports, is gain that trust. Unless you're a diehard, right? Unless you're one of these people that you're like, you know what? All he needs to do is see it go in once. It's kind of like the free throw adage, right? You miss a lot of free throws. You keep missing free throws. All you need to see is that one go in. That one that goes in just perfectly. You see that, and then all of a sudden the weight comes off your shoulders. But what happens if you miss the next one? It just comes right back, right? That's what we're seeing right now with Justin Tucker. Hard to watch, real hard to watch, because you're watching the dismantling of a legacy. And for me, that's a tough thing to sit back and swallow. It was kind of like watching Peyton Manning try to throw the ball. Granted, he won a Super Bowl, but let's not forget that last year in Denver, he was a shell of himself. He was Franken Manning. He was held together with bubblegum, toothpicks, and duct tape. That's what Peyton Manning was. 17 interceptions to 7 touchdown passes. Those were his stats for that season. Wasn't good for him. Tommy Carranza saying, I was down 10 points on my fantasy yesterday going into the night. I had McCaffrey and Kittle left on deck. He was feeling pretty good. And then, 100% my guy. I get it. I had George Kittle too. I kind of knew, though. Snow game. I'm not trusting a West Coast team in a snow game. Just not going to do it unless it's Seattle, right? I'm not trusting any of the California teams in a snow game. Just flatly not going to do it. So I knew I was catching my L. It was done. I won in 2 different leagues. I lost in 2 other leagues. So for me, it's a wash. But man, I just loved it. And I can be called a hater. I can be called a bunch of other things. I'm cool with it. I am happy with it. I do not care. But I just loved the thorough ass whooping that the San Francisco 49ers caught yesterday. It's done for them. It's not done for Philadelphia. Maybe we'll talk a little more about the Philadelphia Eagles coming up here as the week goes on. A little bit later on today, though, y'all, I am going to post up a video. It's going to be a recorded interview that I had with the toy guy, Chris Byrne. You've seen him if you've watched anything on Netflix with the Toys That Built America. He hosts his own podcast, the Playground Podcast. He is a co-host on there as well. He joins me so that we can talk about the best time to buy, what toys you should be buying those kids, those grandkids, any of the young kids in your life. So please look out for that video. I might play the interview again on the show tomorrow just to try to get as much as I can, much exposure for it as I can. Chris Byrne, great guy, had a fun time doing that interview as well. Tommy Canassa saying, Philly will choke, Mike. Mark my words. What do you consider a choke, though? Like, if they make it to the NFC Championship game and lose to Detroit, I don't know if I consider that a choke, right? So what is your definition of choke? Do they lose in the first round? Is that what you're thinking? Like they get upended maybe by like Tampa Bay or someone like that? Because if that's the case, then maybe I could see that as a choke, right? And then that would definitely be the end of Nick Sirianni, right? Again, this team, Philadelphia, winning this season in spite of Nick Sirianni, just because he's not a good coach, flatly, just not a good coach. All right, everybody, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Tommy Cananza saying if the Eagles lose in the first or second round, so they got to make it to the NFC Championship game in order for you to say that it wasn't a choke. Gotcha. We'll put it down. We're putting it on paper. The internet never forgets, my friend. All right, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Remember, today, myhappynuts.com, www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. Visit them right now. Take care of yourselves, guys. It's what you need. Up to 30 and 40% off on some of their items. We will see you all tomorrow. Hello, I'm Mike Tipton with a message for the ladies. Ladies, the man in your life doesn't know how to tell you this, but his nuts are not happy. Don't worry. You can make them happy by giving them happy nuts this holiday season. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and look for the perfect package that fits your man's package. From our Jingle Bells Your Ball Smell gift box that contains a Happy Nuts Comfort Cream and Anti-Chafe Comfort Stick, two of our best sellers, and a special gift your man would love to hang from the tree. To our fresh and clean bundle, our special soaps, and even our patented nut scrubber, myhappynuts.com has everything you need to take your man's nuts from being sad to happy this holiday season. Visit myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton today and save up to 40% on the perfect package for your man's package.